listeners, I'm Russell Brand, host of the Trews, True News. We done some research. Apparently you like this. I don't think you're ready for my jelly tots. I don't think you're ready for these jelly tots. I don't think you're ready for these jelly tots because my nipples are too tiny, baby. The first comment, this is a comments edition so that we can stay in touch with each other over the holidays, is from Glenn Drayton. Hi Rusty, thanks for the Trews, it's brilliant mate. I have a couple of questions for you. At what point does a business become part of the evil corporate conspiracy? I've been running my business for 15 years and I like to think that through this vehicle I've helped my employees grow, raise and educate their families and have happy, fulfilling lives. Does the fact that the business is now quite large and I make a profit from the business instantly brand, excuse the pun, me as one of the corporates whose business should be dismantled or emasculated in your revolution? No, I think not. Like the revolution as like, you remember, I don't think I'm in charge, right, of something to do with, like, I know that's the mad part of me. I don't think, right, this is what we should do. No. I'm not interested in people having like little businesses. You need that. You need enterprise. You need people to have their own endeavours and ways of expressing themselves in the business community. I was down the banks the other day doing these stunts at RBS and HSBC and Lloyds and Barclays, and like 99% of the people that bloody work there are just normal folk doing a job, and probably even the people that are chairman of those banks and like involved in the LIBOR scandal and rinsing money and hiding money and doing illegal derivative deals. They're putting their hearts. They're good people. It's systemic change that we need. We need to make systemic change that prevents people moving to that aspect of their consciousness. I don't think there's anything wrong with anyone having a business. My dad was always a guy that was starting up businesses and like, he's like still to this day that kind of a person. We all are. It's in our human nature. But what we need is systemic support to prevent us going into the parts of ourselves that are sort of a bit greedy and selfish, I think your business sounds like it's really well run and you sound like a lovely person, and listen, I don't think it's my job to judge anybody. Second, is the issue really that under the capitalist system we talk about separation of church and state but not corporation and state? That's a brilliant idea you've made up there, Glenn Drayton. Yeah, because I think that the church and state one, if it was a sort of a church such as it came to be, like a very powerful institution like the Catholic Church that had incredible influence over nation and still exerts that kind of influence, but if you sort of church as in the connection to the divine, that should be involved in the organisation of state. Like, well, remember, of course, we're all connected. We're in truth and indeed part of the living garment of God, all one, connected to each other. That idea should be incorporated when people are making laws and organising institutions. And the separation of corporation and state, that's a bloody good idea. You don't want MPs leaving Parliament and going to work for big businesses. You don't want MPs having a vote on issues where they've got a business interest. Great idea, Glenn Drayton. Would such a law go a long way to solving the issue? Yeah, I think you're right. For example, once a corporation or individual reaches a certain net worth, they are banned from any political role whatsoever, whether it be directly or indirectly via funding, lobby groups and the like. I completely agree. And this, in a way, proves my point. Glenn Drayton, you there have come up with loads of ideas that I'd not thought of and that should be incorporated and should be discussed. But we've got no mechanism for doing that. We've got no mechanism for doing that. And they say, oh, well, the only way to participate in parliamentary process is 1, by voting, or 2, by being an MP. And I don't want to do either of those things. Like Rupert Murdoch is not an MP. I think he has some influence over a political process. I don't know. I'm getting that idea. What we need is a systemic change so that people with good ideas like Glenn Drayton have the opportunity to communicate them and we can try them out. At the moment, we have so many prohibitive measures because, as Glenn said, there's this connection between church and between corporations and state that mean it's a kind of beyond monopoly. It's an entrenchant system that means that monopolies can't be challenged. So there you go. Samuel Lee goes, do you work for the Russian? Which one? Abramovich? Kanchelski? Which particular Russian? Tolstoy, Solzhenitsyn? Do you mean Russians? No. We're doing what exactly? Russell, we would like for you to write my bookie work too. A follow-up to my bookie work, but this time focus more on the life after you become famous. Okay, Mr. Gorbachev. Oh no, call me Mikhail. Okay, Mikhail. No, don't work for the Russians. Doing what? What are the Russians getting out of this? Dylan Walker. My parents seem to think that we don't need a revolution. They seem to think it. That the people at the top have earned their place through hard work and they shouldn't give up their well-earned wealth. Also, my views on socialism and equality, etc. is simply unrealistic and won't happen ever. Maybe you could help to convince them. Cheers. Tell them this. Say, the people at the top haven't earned that position. That most of the wealth in this country is controlled by people that were born with the wealth in this country. The vast majority. Social mobility is a bit of a myth. Like, if you're poor, the chances are you were born poor. If you are rich, the chances are you were born rich. If you're an MP, chances are, not 100%, but chances are you came through certain educational institutions that prepared you for that. Like, so systemic change is required. Revolution simply means change from outside of the institutions that create legislation and administrate bureaucracies. So really all revolution is saying is, can we trust, for example, do you think within Coca-Cola they're going to make the right decisions about marketing and how to treat their workers? Or do you think that within Apple they're going to, or do you think that there needs to be some external force? And I think that there needs to be an external force. I don't think that it's a meritocracy. A meritocracy means everyone's where they should be. The Queen, for example, what she'd done is she just emerged from a particular vagina and became a queen as a result. And as a consequence of that, she owns loads of land, has loads of money, and people go, yeah, but tourism! Yeah, but tourism! Tourism! Like, well, there's going to be tourism. Like, people go other places, you know. It's not like people go France and to Brazil, don't they? We know now, don't we, that you can't prosecute people on a basis of race or sexual persuasion, but people are still prosecuted on an economic basis. We have to believe that there's a reason for that, because otherwise we won't put up with it. So this idea of meritocracy exists, and that's what it's so to say to your parents. There is no such thing as true meritocracy. There is no such thing as equal opportunity. The people that have the power were born powerful. The people that have the wealth were born wealthy, and the same for those that don't have power and don't have wealth. And we do need change, Mum and Dad, and see what they seem to think then. Daniel Mulvaney, I'm pretty sure that few things would be as satisfactory as quitting my job and spending several years wandering around with Russell Brand discussing perspectives and ideas, which often at times seem eerily similar. Few things would be that good, mate. Me and you just wandering around discussing our ideas. Oh, Jesus used to say to people, didn't he? Leave your jobs, let's go wandering around. And now it's left to me, old Russ, to say, everyone, leave your jobs, stop paying your mortgages, get rid of the royal family, start wandering around, dress in blankets, have fun, Merry Christmas, subscribe here, True News, subscribe here.
Nose is a tool that is abused to fool you and to leave you scared and confused. Trews is like the news. If the news was true, I want some Trews. Let's have some Trews.